Welcome to Fast Chats, presented by The Bomb Hole.
All right, folks, we got Maggie Leon today. Really excited to chat with you, Maggie. I think this new hybrid role, double threat, rider, putting out killer video parts, doing some engineering. It's really amazing. Before we get into your recent heater part in Swarm, we're going to jump into hot takes real quick here.
It's time for hot takes.
First question, who's your favorite up-and-coming rider?
Derek Lemke, no question. Honestly, like riding alongside him while filming for Swarm was one of the craziest things ever. Just like, it's like he can just shut his brain off and just do whatever he wants. Like, it's like, I kind of need to work my way up, and I'm a very like visual and talkative thing. Like, I need to talk through everything, but he can just like shut it off and do it within like less than 10 tries every single time. The gnarliest thing you can possibly think of, he's like not scared to try it. Or he'll like, he's very, really like technical. Like he can break something down and understand exactly how his board works and how he's going to get to the landing, basically. Like, it's so impressive.
It's all killer, no filler in that new part too. There's no filler. Every
No
clip's
filler.
a banger, and I love to see that. And I'm gonna kind of lead into this for a second because I was listening to you talk, and you know, like I really think you're brilliant, Maggie. Like, to be an engineer, to be able to make sense of all the mathematics that goes into making products. Like, you have to be like really fucking smart to do what you do. And there's a part of me with snowboarding that thinks you kind of have to be the right amount of stupid to be good at it, in a way that you can like turn your brain off. So I guess like, I guess what I'm kind of asking is, how do you balance having this like engineering mind? Do you apply it to your snowboarding? Do you have to turn it off, or how does that work for you?
Well, that's super nice of you to say it. Seriously, like, thank you so much. But I kind of think there's two sides to it. It's like, you're either very particular and like calculated, or you can shut it off. I feel like it's kind of hard being in the middle ground. But like, look at like Sam Anderson, like listening to his bomb hole with you recently, like he described it perfectly, where it's like he's like thinking about exactly what he's gonna do before he's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Sam works this way, but for me, every drop I'm thinking about what I can do to tweak something differently, even like if it's like, I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind is like, I did this like wall ride front one, and I kept like diving my shoulder in, and I could not stand up. Every single time I like basically would like, I'd get my board under me, but I couldn't get my feet under me. And so like trying to understand what, when I'm on the wall, like the body mechanics of like how I need to compress over my knees. And like, I feel like sometimes I do overthink it, but then I try to articulate what I'm experiencing to my friends. And that's why being with this crew of people was so special, because all of these people were just like understood where I was coming from. So I could be like, so like, what do you think, Michael? Like, do you think I just got to land a little like more like toe heavy? And he would say things that like I could remember as I'm hiking back up. He'd be like, toes, shoulder. And then I'd be like, okay, toes, shoulder. And so like, for me, that's like how I operate. I kind of got to work my way up to it, which definitely don't get shit as quick as Derek, like not at all. But I think as long as you get the clip, it's okay. You just got to like work your way and figure out how your brain works. And like the way his brain works is, super interesting, actually. I asked him, I was like, do you have an inner monologue? And he was like, I don't know what that is. Like, he doesn't think in words like I do. Like, he just feels things. Like, he can understand what to do with his board without having to break it down in that way. And I think part of it is like understanding like how you work, I guess, which sounds really like heady, but.
No, that was a great explanation. And also kudos to you on that wall ride front
Thank
one,
you.
because that was like size large. That thing was massive.
Thank you so much. That was a really tough one. I had a pretty insane slam that freaked me out, but thank you.
Your whole body like whips in the landing. It's awesome. All right. Next question, hot take, steel or powder?
I guess steel, because I haven't like truly experienced, like I've ridden powder, but like not to the fullest extent. You know what I mean? Like I've had like a couple times where I've done it, but not like, I don't like understand it yet.
Respect. Who's got your favorite style?
Tommy gets me for sure.
Who's got your favorite method?
One's kind of tough. The first person that comes to mind when I think of a method is Holden Barth. So I'm going to go with Holden.
Yes. This is maybe my favorite answer ever. Who's got your favorite turn?
Definitely Michael Chilton, my boss. Like, Oh my God, he used to be a pipe rider. The way, like, we go to the dome to like test things, and I keep being like, I need a full breakdown on how to turn like you. Like, it is so sick. And I feel like I'm never that stoked on like turns, but for some reason the way he does it is pretty special.
It's hard to make a turn look good. It is difficult.
It's so hard.
Okay, what's your favorite snowboard video ever made?
I think a video that's impacted me the most was Peep Show Winter Wars. But favorite like new age, I think Blender. Because every time I watch it, I see something different and I appreciate it differently, which is telling. And it doesn't have like, it's not that it's like a nostalgic, like that's why I love it. It's like every time I watch it, it's just, it feels different, I guess. That's pretty hard to do.
It's a classic. Favorite place to go, or I'll say best place to go snowboard.
Say Dark Park in Killington at Darkside.
Respect.
That's usually where I feel the most excited to snowboard. But also Woody's. I don't know why. Every time I go to Woody's, it's like the perfect time of year. It's like you're at the beach and there's like no consequences. You can just do whatever the hell you want.
Oh yeah, spring laps at Woodward. That ain't bad. What is your favorite board graphic ever?
I don't know if I have a graphic in particular, but when I was working at Burton, I built a Good Company board that had, so the graphics are like the dogs playing poker, but the top sheet had like two of the dogs that were playing poker on the base on the top sheet, and they let me Photoshop our dog Snoopy in, and so I think that's one like I actually brought it out here just to hang on the wall.
Hell yeah.
That's the one that like meant the most to me just from like my experience with it, but
that's it. That's the one.
All right, perfect.
Who's your favorite snowboarder?
That is so difficult.
Today, just say it's today because it could change tomorrow. You know, keep it light.
Derek Lemke. I've had him just so impressed with him every single time. Whatever he does, it looks good.
Okay, what's the worst trick? Your least favorite trick?
Front one, cab 3, probably.
Solid. Dream sponsor. What do you got?
Toyota. Yeah,
Solid.
Toyota, because I miss my Tacoma out here, so I'm gonna say Toyota.
Last question I got. Worst trend.
Not caring. Like, I feel like that's like, it's cool to care. It's cool to dive in and hone into things and obsess over things. Like, to me, that's like, I don't know. I think that's cool.
I love it. I fucking love that take. Like indifference, that's like indifference. I don't think indifference is where you want to be,
No, I don't think so either.
You want passion. You want love for what we do. I think that's a great take.
And that's like how we all come together. So, but.
Okay, I'm going to throw in another random curveball. Most talented person you've seen in person ride a snowboard.
I think someone who continues to impress me is Noah Coville. Like, every single time, it's like he levels up every clip, or like he always finds like a sicker spot each time, or I think just like his vision to me is that it like embodies that. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Noah.
Great answer. With Swarm, you filmed a great part. Loved every single one of your clips. You had some crafty, you had some big spots. What's your favorite clip from Swarm?
You got me thinking. Kind of random, but I think the over the fence gap to down, just because I was really scared of that one at night, like really scared. Like, I had to work up to it, and I don't know, I had this like block in my head that I didn't think I was gonna get over. Not that it was like it's my favorite. We'll go with that.
Yeah, you were scared and you freaking made it happen, and it's a banger.
Thank you.
Yeah, killer. I would love to hear you describe your new role over at Rome, what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a hybrid role, so it's basically product engineering and riding, kind of at the same time. So during the on season, I'm fully riding, and then during the off season, when there's no snow, I'm doing full-time product development work. So throughout the season, I'm kind of conveying feedback and information that our team has and bringing that to the table so we can expedite and improve products as quick as possible.
God, I love it. I gotta say, Maggie, for a kind of a little bit of an office jockey position with engineers, like the office jockey position, that was not an office jockey video part. That was a certified heat maker, Maggie. Like, congrats on filming a really amazing part in Swarm. How do you feel about it? Are you proud of it now that it's been released into the world?
Oh, that really means a lot. Thank you so much. I'm really happy with how Swarm came together. I mean, Noah, Joey, and Devin all editing it together, and like hearing the feedback as they're editing throughout the season was pretty insane. But yeah, I feel pretty good about my clips. I wish I could have had some more in there, as always. It was basically like, I'd say around a month of filming time, like a full 3-week trip, and then did some contests, came back to Europe, did some stuff over here, and then I flew back and did a Chicoutimi trip at the end of the season. So
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask, because I was wondering where most of it was filmed, because I had never seen any of those spots before, at least in your part.
yeah, we did for the 3-week trip, it was Syracuse first, and then we made our way to Cincinnati, and then after Cincinnati, it was West Virginia, which is pretty crazy.
Damn, random as hell. Well, let's
Super
talk.
random. Well, it was crazy because we were supposed to be in Pennsylvania, but then the snow turned to rain, and then we just had to pivot as quick as possible.
Cool. Well, you
As you
guys
know.
made a great video. Let's talk about some of the other talent in there. Obviously, Derek Lemke brought some serious smoke. These new Rome AMs are just like dropping hammers. What was it like filming with these guys?
I mean, it was absolutely insane. When we were in, I think it was Cincinnati, it was the first time I had actually met Derek, and it was really cool to see like how he clicked and meshed with the crew like incredibly well. I feel like everyone's kind of on the same page where it's like we all have our distinct styles and like distinct eye for spots, but everything kind of meshes really nicely together. And I kind of feel like it has a like a family dynamic to it where it's like obviously my brother Joey has been with Rome for the past 10 years filming and riding for them and coming in and joining that, and then seeing like the Covilles come together and Micah just joining this past season, and then Noah having done Particle is pretty crazy. And then Drake and Derek growing up riding together is like, it's the coolest dynamic ever. And I don't know, it's like this, it just feels like we're like genuinely like a crew where it's kind of like homey vibes, but also with brand backing, which feels really organic.
100%. It feels like Rome's in a bit of a resurgence right now, at least from the outside in. It's on this really cool uptick. Great new video, ripping up and coming AMs. Obviously, you have like the OGs, Rene, Stale, Madison, Keegan's killing it, but now you guys got Lolo, Derek, Drake, Noah, Joey, Casey. I mean, you've been there for a while, but does it feel like from your end, you guys are in an exciting time over at Rome?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like when I joined was the start of the rebrand where it was basically like taking new like visual directions, but then also trying to tie in kind of the OG feel, like the original like Rome, and try to like revamp it like in the new age, I guess you could say. Um, and I feel like it's being pieced together really nicely, and it's starting to make a lot of sense where it's like you have Casey from the Vermont side who's like, I feel like I've known Casey since like middle school or something like that doing USASAs in Southern Vermont. Then you have the Covilles who are like Vermont born and raised. And then you have kind of this Midwest feel, which also works really well with the Vermonters, I guess you could say. And then, I don't know, I just think it all is like, it makes sense without having to force anything, which is always really telling of something that's working, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, great, absolutely great crew. Now let's talk about engineering for a little bit, because in the summer when you're not snowboarding, you're just doing engineering stuff. Like, what specifically does that entail?
So basically, I hopped back into the engineering world mid-April, which is a pretty busy time of year because we're getting ready to get samples made in China. So I usually go on the China trip at the beginning of the summer. So I'm like getting a look at everything that I had worked on at the beginning of the season in like November-ish, I guess you could say, coming around to the China trip, which is pretty insane because throughout the season, I would consider like team rider feedback to be like expedited fatigue testing, where it's like, to me, that is the most valuable information that you could bring to the table. And it's kind of cool working alongside riders where it's like bringing this real-time feedback to our development team, but then also developing in-house lab tests with our China team to try to kind of replicate things to see if we can test for strength or test for conformability, like things along those lines. So to me, the testing side draws a lot of my interest. And then we have an RP facility where we can print and test things in-house, which is pretty sick. So using that in addition to figuring out how we're going to try to make our stuff as durable and look as good as possible is like the funnest part of the job. Now I'm kind of getting into the weeds here, but
No, you're not. I like specifically with its testing, like is it just like dropping a rock on a board to see if it breaks, or like how do what does the test look like?
well, it's funny you say that because sometimes it is replicating something as simple as that, where it's like, I don't know, like if you're looking to test for like toe strap fatigue, for example, if your toe strap starts wearing in a specific area, you need to figure out a way to mimic that movement that you're seeing in a boot. So it's like that may be taking a last, putting it inside of a boot and creating like a cycle tester that hits that exact spot over and over and over again at, 10 to 30,000 cycles, something along those lines. Or maybe it's like putting something in a freezer and testing for like plastic deformation over time or something like that. So it kind of depends on like what you're trying to observe. But I feel like what is really cool about working with the Rome team is like our crew is so small. Like it's literally like me and two other industrial designers who are very like mechanically inclined. So they're really like hyper aware of like how things are tooled properly, how pieces and parts come together and are assembled and interact together. And then my boss Chilton, who does all the board design work with another board designer. So Chilton's kind of like overseeing our little crew. And then we all come together to make decisions together. So it's like, in order to get your voice heard, it's pretty straightforward. Like if Joey has a comment on something not working properly or something that works really well, then we prioritize that usually, which is pretty fun.
Oh, that's amazing. No red tape with a small brand. I love seeing that.
It is so awesome. It's super cool. And like you can bring ideas to life really, really quickly, which is also super fun. And that's something that we've observed with the new FASE binding that we've been working on. That's been like so much fun to work on.
Yeah, I'm actually super curious about that because you were working on Step On over at Burton, and now you're part of this FASE binding situation over at Rome. First of all, like how much R&D went into before you released them for production?
For FASE?
Yeah.
I think it was like a little over 4 years. So basically the Nidecker team was working on the primary tech, which is like I could probably grab one over here, but like the paddle that flips open and the high back that opens up and everything that kind of comes together, the straps and the whole like system itself. They were fine tuning a lot of the sub assemblies for about 4 years. And then that's when Nidecker came in and wanted each brand that they owned to kind of implement and integrate the technology into the existing binding platforms of each brand. So
do you guys make just standard OG ratchet, no FASE, or are all the Rome riders on FASE in that new movie?
No, we make standard. Everyone in the movie is actually on just like standard 2-strap conventional bindings. We want a product offering that is open to whatever anyone's looking for. So it's like if you want a little bit, something that's like a little bit extra, like a little bit of like to me, it's only an improvement. I feel like FASE, yes, it's categorized into the convenience binding group. But for me, it's really like an optimal fit system. Just because I've noticed since I have like size 6 feet and I've been testing men's mediums, which is like our sample size that we start with. Oh, here we go. But like the way this paddle works, like got one right here. Basically, you step in with your boot and it flips this little paddle up, and then the high back will stay nice and tight to your boot and give you like a really good boot to binding fit. So for me, that's the coolest part about it, just because previously I've had a lot of like heel lift, having smaller boots, and it's something like, when you strap in and your boot's slightly too far forward and then you drop in and you're like, whoa, I have all this play. That's something that doesn't exist with this, which to me is like a true team benefit.
Cool. That's awesome. Now it's interesting to see, the stigma. If you think back to a lot of these like hinging binding systems, like for example, Flow Bindings was trying to do it for a long time, and I don't think anybody really was rocking with Flow. How does FASE like kind of change the stigma? I know you're an engineer, but you might have some insight on this too.
Yeah, so it's interesting you mentioned that because it's like Flow was a cable tension based system. So if there was ever any like slop in that cable, it could aid to like having a really poor experience on those bindings. But the times that it did work, people seem to speak highly of it, I guess. But with the stigma that you're speaking to, yeah, it's definitely we were trying to push this as something that looks and acts like a regular standard binding, but has a couple extra features. So it's not supposed to be, in my opinion, anything that stands out to be crazy, crazy different. Like on shelf, we want it to look consistent with the other bindings and then just have a couple extra cool features. So with Step On being like I worked on that for a while. With Step On being primarily convenience based, they're so different in my mind that they're not even really comparable.
Well, the other thing too is like, look at Stale. Stale won natural selection. He was wearing FASE bindings. Clearly they work decent, It's cool.
Super sick. I mean, they're gonna trust me. If you step into them, you'll feel it. They ride the exact same, if not like a little bit better with that extra fit, which is pretty cool. And they're a little
100%.
faster.
Who's doing
But
graphics over there? The graphics are looking really good for Rome.
my friend Portia, she's been absolutely killing it. I'm so stoked on what she's been doing. Next year's are looking insane.
Cool. And now you're over in Europe, in the Netherlands, I believe, right? How's that huge culture shift been moving from the States?
I mean, it was kind of a funny transition at first. So we moved out here, not this past January, but the one before. So it's almost been 2 years. When we first moved here, we had a couple months, and it was kind of like the winters here are like really dark and rainy, and I'm mostly traveling because it's like extremely isolating being like at the domes lapping by yourself without anyone else there, you know? There's not like much of a scene in the winter because people are mostly traveling if they're filming. But I don't know, it's pretty crazy being able to like go on like a Finland trip with Ivica for the first time and like experience kind of that side of things. And then in the summer, I worked out of the office for like a month or so. But that transition at first was kind of interesting because my girlfriend broke her foot at the Uninvited, like right before we left. So when we came back here, it was like pretty crazy because we didn't really know anyone. We were kind of like, once again, just like isolated. But now that we've kind of become a little bit more like integrated into the scene here, it's like we've got like a pretty cool crew of people that we ride with, and like the skate scene's really cool here in The Hague. And I don't know, I really, really like it here. It's pretty awesome.
That's cool. Whose office is in the Netherlands?
So LPS is based in the Nord in Amsterdam. So that's Roman Battalion.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, I probably should have explained that first.
No, I was genuinely curious because I thought like maybe Nidaker's Swiss, or I didn't know the whole deal with that.
Yeah, and then they have a lodge in Austria too. So we do like a lot of product testing there as well. But because the Alps are super close and there's a major airport in Amsterdam, so it's pretty easy to get to and from places quickly.
That's killer. Good food, good people, good culture. A little different than a little not to knock Vermont. I love Vermont, but that is a total different vibe.
It's definitely different. It's been really awesome though, getting to know everyone from just the European scene in itself is completely different. And so that's been a really, really cool experience, getting to know everyone and going to all these different events, seeing the same people, connecting the dots. It's super cool.
Just out of curiosity, how is the European scene? How does it differ from here in North America?
I mean, in my opinion, there's a lot of fucked up riders that are incredibly overlooked. I think it just has to do with like sales and marketing maybe, where it's like a lot of US riders are kind of given the spotlight a little bit more than the Europeans because the talent over here is like really, really next level. And I think that was showcased really well at the Uninvited Invitational here in Europe too, where it's like having those girls battle over those spots and then make their way out to Salt Lake and just also hold up. Like it was so crazy. But
100%. 100%. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question that I've recently started asking people just out of curiosity. You know, you work for Rome, you ride for Rome. Obviously, they have your back, you have their back. But I'm just curious, if you were to walk into a store and buy a snowboard that wasn't a Rome, what would you buy if you couldn't buy a Rome?
I think I'd have to go with either Public or Solomon for completely different reasons.
Okay,
So
elaborate, please.
Public, I just love what Joe's doing for the community and how he's like staying true to the people that he's supporting, and like I think he's doing like a really, really great job on a grassroots level. Even beyond that, obviously, he's making an impact. But I think like seeing like my friends directly affected by like what he's done for the community is really, really sick. And then on kind of a more technical side, I would say Solomon. And this is like a very kind of specific view on it. But so I worked with a lot of adaptive athletes when I was at Burton, and we were like working to commercialize product that we would be able to offer to these riders so that they could purchase it on the website. And recently I was talking to Emma. She came out with her girlfriend and we were in Paris and talking just about Solomon and how like well-rounded they are and how like they're very like a truly inclusive company. And seeing how they are providing for these riders and like offering something that helps make snowboarding a little bit easier or a little bit better for someone, to me is like one of the coolest things that brand can do, is make snowboarding more accessible. So like seeing what they did with the adaptive program and like bringing it to life and shining a spotlight on it, to me is extra special. But
Cool. Solid answer. I'm always curious about that. Amazing. Well, congrats on everything. What's next for Maggie Leon? What do we got coming down the pipeline?
this season I'm definitely trying to just go heavy film mode. I feel like last year I did a lot of contests. I'll probably do like a couple here and there, but I want to get as much time with this crew as possible. If we can kind of get things like worked out and sorted through for this upcoming season, I think we're hoping to do this thing again. So if we can make that work, like that definitely is my plan for sure. Like I want to get more than, a third of the season. I want to get as much as possible and like really experience filming like an actual full part would be my ultimate goal.
Well, we're here for it, and I want to highlight Rome for kind of taking a chance on a new hybrid role where you're double threat engineer and filming parts. And I think more brands should take notice of that. I think Nils is doing a good job over at Solomon. I think it's really cool to keep your pro riders and have them as a double threat, because there ain't no snow in the summer anyway.
Yeah,
Might as well
I
be
mean,
doing engineering.
I'm like so incredibly grateful for this. Like every day I go into work excited, no matter what it is. And I think there is like just a lot that doesn't get discussed if you're not doing both. So if you're not on snow and you're not directly testing something, you might not notice if something needs to be tweaked. So I think there's a lot of benefits, whether it be like rider communication or like truly having that camaraderie with like a crew, like stuff that you wouldn't get if you're just sitting behind a desk all the time.
Totally. And like actually an engineer that knows how the board performs and puts it to the test. And, you can it's nice to be able to slap some respect on your engineer. It's really cool.
Oh, that means a lot. Thanks, Chris. And thanks for like helping to elevate this previously and help me push to do this thing.
Cool.
Like for real.
No worries. I'm so glad to see where you're at. And thanks for taking the time to do a quick chat with us. And yeah, appreciate you, Maggie.
Thanks for having me. That was awesome.